How subsea cable is indispensable for today's digital economy. Welcome to Gurugyaan with bsmart Business Standard. In this episode, you will hear from Mr. TV Ramachandran, President, Broadband India Forum. An esteemed industry veteran, Mr. Ramachandran has been part of the mobile telephony sector in India since its very inception. As the first CEO of Sterling Cellular, Delhi, and having established and led COAI for 12 years, he is also Honorary Fellow of IET London and IETE India, and also Global Advisor to IET's Future Tech Panel.
Hello, sir. First of all, very good evening and welcome to this new session of Gurugyaan. We must thank you for participating in this session, and we just cannot wait to hear from you on the topic how subsea cable and digital cloud is indispensable for today's digital economy. So, all over to you, sir.
Thank you, Abhishek. Good evening to you, and thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here to discuss this important topic, which is, I believe, absolutely central to India's digital future, but often remains both out of sight and out of mind for very good reasons. Can you believe it that this package of subsea cable systems and data centers particularly subsea cable systems, they are responsible for carrying over 95%. It is said to be close to 99% of our total data globally to other countries. You would all appreciate that having data, generating data, and keeping it to yourself does nobody any good. Data is useful only when you interact with others, with other nations. They will send data. That's how civilization progresses, economy progresses. And strangely enough, in the 30 years of telecommunications we've had here, we did not have a single open conference or discussion on subsea cable systems and what is the importance of that. And this happened only maybe a month or two ago. So that only reinforces what I'm saying, that subsea cable systems are little talked about, little known about, because they're just out of sight. Because the subsea cables are buried deep in the seabed, down in the seabed. And so people don't see them. People see always mobile towers. They see sometimes cables outside on land, but more often the towers only are visible. So people go, digital economy means you think that it is only made up of these sort of things. But actually, data centers, now more popularly known as cloud services, they are also out of sight. You never see them. So these things are becoming more and more important. Cloud computing, it's not just smartphones, it's not just towers. And these things like data centers, which are closely allied with artificial intelligence, that's how cloud services are made possible. All these have attained very high importance for India because, as you know, India has got huge digital ambitions. We have hosted the first AI summit here today in Delhi, last 2 days, and the digital ambitions are sky high. Against that context, we need to appreciate that underlying all of this is the critical and unseen layer of infrastructure, which is subsea cables, which are made up of optic fiber. Those are optic fiber cables, and therefore practically of infinite capacity. It is not like a mobile tower or like any smartphone of some limited capability. The fiber systems can carry tremendous amount of data. And that is what is used to transport the huge mountains of data from one country to another, from one city to another. And they enable all that you see, global financial systems, your cloud services, they power the cloud services, they support the seamless flow of data that drives today's interconnected world. It is not just interconnected, it is hyperconnected world. Without that, we would not exist. So every time we make a digital payment, access cloud services, or use AI-driven platforms, we are relying on this vast and visible network of ours lying beneath the oceans. For India, as we move towards becoming a trillion-dollar digital economy, subsea cable infrastructure is absolutely foundational. We have not paid it enough attention. We have not discussed it enough from a general point of view. We need to correct that as soon as possible. And this is very important if India wants to remain digitally secure. I'll explain that further onward, why I say that. Be reliable and resilient. This is not only for just digital payments and your cloud services now, Abhishek, this is also very, very important for our innovation and R&D and economic and technological advancement. Because all those are driven by data systems and platforms. So in effect, what I would say in these few words here, that this is an absolute backbone of our digital economy and is already playing and will play a very defining role in our future as a global digital power. Now, why is this so important? And why is it so important for digital sovereignty? See, for example, if you are cut off, if you have subsea cable systems, they can get cut off for various reasons. Due to fishing trawlers accidentally cutting them off, which is a very common reason. It can get cut off due to accidents. It can get cut off due to hostilities between nations as an act of sabotage. It can get cut by natural disasters. If you get a tsunami or a very powerful storm in the sea, it could well cut your cables. Now, when that is done, can you imagine the havoc that would arise? The connectivity to a nation gets hit. Well, you may have many cables, so if only one is getting hit, fine, it is reduced, but still you can pull on. But very often, there are other factors which come in, which affect a nation completely. And this is what you have seen in India in 2024, when we got hit by such disasters. A lot of things were there at that time in the Red Sea. Accidents were there, cables were getting cut. Some say they were accidental, some say they are sabotage. There are problems in the China Sea front, near Taiwan. We have got a total of about 17 cable systems in India. Majority of them, the overwhelming majority of them, yes, there is one going to, I think, Chennai, one probably to Kochi, one to Vizag maybe. But the overwhelming majority of them land in the shores in just about a narrow stretch of 6 kilometers of the Juhu beach in Bombay. So there is a tremendous concentration of our subsea cable capacity there. They are landing there. So something happens there, some accident. Naturally or wantonly. That could be a big, big disaster for India. So we need to diversify. We need to have more cables, and have them land at various places. We've got a very long sea route. We got that advantage, a very big peninsula. We got a huge coastline. So we should find more places to land our subsea cable systems and thereby safeguard our resilience in case of disaster striking one of them. This is an urgent priority, and BIF has highlighted this. And I think there is interest taking place now from several quarters to try and find more stations. Government is trying to do it. Regulator is recommending it. So the action is happening on that front. This is very important for us to have resilience. Otherwise, suddenly you'll find all your internet speeds are plummeting down because your connectivity has got hit in some places. Because, so importance of more landing stations. And in that context, I would also like to tell you, Abhishek, and my friends here who are listening, that India has produce about 20% of the data capacity of the world. The data generated in the world, 20% of that is in India, I believe. That's a huge capacity. We are churning out a lot of data because, as you know, even on mobiles, we consume a lot of data every month. But having 20% of the data consumption of the world, how much capacity do we have for handling them? Just about 2% through subsea cable systems and landing stations. Can you imagine? 2% versus 20. That is, we got 1/10 of the capacity we should have. So that is going to be a critical issue in digital sovereignty. You cannot have such a lopsided situation. We need to balance both. And not only quantum, like I said, you now have to diversify the landing stations. Don't expose one part of your coastline to more risk, whether accidental or otherwise. We don't have many friendly neighbors. We got some who may be different. So you have to be very aware of that. Strategically, we have to safeguard that. It is also important that it is not just the landing stations. You have to talk about the number of cable systems, how they are connecting us to the world. If you look at the way the cable systems run, subsea cable systems, the 17, majority of them run through high-risk areas. Which are the high-risk areas? Red Sea area, the China Sea area, South China Sea. So that is something you have to be conscious about. And as a policy, we have to try and diversify our risk there, both in the number of landing stations here in India, as also the routes. And I'm very happy to hear that now global majors like Meta and Google are investing huge amounts to bring in via new routes. There is one coming via Africa, going to Australia, via India. And this gives you a very big opportunity for India to become a global data hub. That would be a very, very big strategic advantage. Because if the West wants to connect to the Far East, it would be very risky for them to go through high-risk areas like Red Sea and China Sea. If India were to come up with a hub there, which takes via Africa and Australia, that becomes a very attractive alternative for many nations globally. So I believe that this is something which we need to look at. Strategically, one more thing is very, very important. When we talk of resilience, the need to have diversified routes, more quantum capacity, etc., it's also important to realize when we talked of several factors which can cause subsea cable cuts and thereby disrupt, let's take all the factors, whether it's a unfriendly act or whether it's accidental or natural disaster. Then what happens after that? It's a very, very specialized job to repair such cuts. You can imagine that. It's probably thousands of feet in the sea. You need special repair vessels with sophisticated equipment and sophisticated skilled repairers to go there and repair, to go find the spot, locate the spot, zero in there, and go down and repair. It's a very, very tricky job. And it is, again, a matter of disappointment that in India, we are dependent on one or two other nations for repair. We don't have a repair facility of our own. The repair cost is high. We are paying that. That has become a cost going out of the country. We should have our own, what I would say, an Indian flag vessel. Indian vessel, because tomorrow if some hostile nation attacks us and we get cuts, we can't depend on another country for coming and helping us in time. The nations which are currently helping us, which are 2-3 in the East, they take 1-2 weeks to come because they're all booked for orders. And entire world there are many, many repair ships, but India doesn't have any. It's a small thing for India to invest in and have its own government flagged ship for repair, specialized repair vessel. If we don't have that, then you've got a very big strategic weakness. And people can exploit that. We need to keep that in mind. And we also need to keep the factor which I said, that our data growth is not only now 20% of the world, it is going to go even higher. Because consumption, today the rural connectivity and data is relatively less. There is a huge digital divide in India. I don't know how many of you are aware. The net digital connectivity is, the net unconnected are close to 40-50% in India. And the way we are now going in for more and more connections, soon they'll all get connected. Then imagine the explosion in data further. And if that happens, you have to transport it to the rest of the world. So the dependence is going to be huge on this. We need to develop our capacity, enhance our capacity quickly. We need to diversify. We need to invest in more repair facility. All these are extremely important. And this marks a big convergence, a powerful convergence of subsea connectivity, cloud infrastructure, artificial intelligence. All of these are now converging to one area of requirement. And India needs to take cognizance of this. Okay, for 30 years, we have had a legacy of other sorts. I'm not pointing the finger at anybody, not blaming anybody. Our priorities were different. We have had other problems to resolve. But now the time has come. We are embarked at a stage for a big takeoff on digital sovereignty. We're going towards Viksit Bharat, AI. Quantum computing is on its way. So far, that has not been talked about even. So with all these, you really need to reach for the skies in terms of subsea connectivity. I would like to conclude on that point and say that the subsea cable and cloud services infrastructure is not just an important form of digital infrastructure. It is a very big national strategic asset which is absolutely top priority for India's digital growth. Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank you so much, sir. That was, such a great learning for all of us, actually. There's a very, a common saying, out of sight, out of mind. We care about the things which are visible to us, but we often tend to forget things which are not visible to us. That goes just out of our mind. We probably know when we see a movie, we know the actors who are acting in the movie, but we probably, forget about the directors who have made that movie, the storytellers who have,
Yeah.
written the story of the movie. So yes, I mean, we all care about data consumption today through different devices, TV, smartphones, laptops, just name it up. But we probably are not aware of the data transmission part. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for highlighting that
Thank you.
part. I'm
Thank you.
sure people will be taking note of that, and and thank you again to highlight that how important strategically are the subsea cables. So thank you, sir, and it was
My pleasure.
amazing. It was amazing to have you. I'm sure
Thank
our
you.
viewers have will learn a lot from this session, and we look forward staying connected with you and having you again in another session of Business Standard Be Smart. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Abhishek. My pleasure entirely. My privilege, in fact. Have a nice evening. Thank you.
You too, sir. Thank you so much.
The future of the digital economy will be shaped as much by physical infrastructure beneath our oceans as by innovations in the cloud. Thank you, Mr. Ramachandran, for that insightful session. BSmart viewers, please share your queries and feedback at bsmart.edit@bsmail.in and follow us on LinkedIn and Insta for more such insightful and inspiring content. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing.